You hungry? You ready to go? We survived. We didn't get in trouble. That's good. 3x zoom. That's how close Jack is to me. Very close. Time to blow this popsicle stand. I'm gonna pack up and get out of here as fast as I can. Just ready to get out of these woods into the open road in the sun where it's less damp. I'm getting pretty good at stealthy camping. I don't even think people will be able to tell where we slept. Vegetation is just so dense that you can never tell where a fence or a tent might fit, rather. All right, let's get out of here, get Jack some food, and then I'm gonna finish drying off my stuff once I find a patch of sun. I don't know if you heard the end of Jack and his protestations. He is an-hungered, and I shall give him food. Come, my boy, let us go give you food. Fare thee well, Woods. I appreciate your hospitality for one night of my around-the-world journeyings. I'm still thinking about if I want to do any more continents. If I had to guess, I would say probably. It all depends on my mood. Thing is, like, I have to balance the two. I've found if I go home, I'm like, oh, this is so nice to be able to work on projects and stuff again and to see things I'm familiar with. And then after a while, I'm like, I have to get back out there so bad. And then that's when I start another walk, I guess. Okay, I'd say we're about 3 days, including today, away from the border with the Netherlands. So getting close. Today we'll pass through a little town called Vries, maybe in 8 to 10 miles or so. We might hit another town called Verlt, I'm guessing, even though it's written with a W. Pretty sure they pronounce them like V's here. Other than that, I think we're gonna be walking actually through the woods kind of a lot today. A little change of pace, and then we'll get some fields too. See if anything interesting happens along the way. If not, I'm sure the scenery will be nice. I was just taking a nice look at this nice scene. Very scenic, right? See what I see? There's all kinds of free stuff out there. Hard part is finding it. 10:57, 3.98 miles walked today. This is one of the more green tunnels I've walked through. Even the ground is green. Very green, very sunny, very nice. It's 1:03 p.m., 8.84 miles in. It's almost time for Jack to have lunch. There's been an unusually high amount of religious symbology in the last few towns. There's another one, another cross. I mean, you see one church in every town, but I've seen a startling and unprecedented number of pieces of religious symbols in people's yards. They're usually quite large, much larger than this. Here's another random observation. I've seen things like this before, a little fruit stand. I've never seen somebody with a shed with an ice cream soft serve thingy in their front yard. Looks like it's coin operated. And then you can get some soda too if you want. We're still at the ice cream place. I think I'm gonna get one. It costs €2. I have €2. Jack has 2 pills that he eats monthly. That's one of them. That one protects his heart from heartworms, and the other one protects him from ticks. I think it kills them. The tick one he just ate. And he was gobbling this one down, because normally I disguise them in food, but we'll see if he continues. €2. Chocolate. I'm guessing that means chocolate, not chocolate. Vanilla. Wow, that was efficient. In regards to what I was talking about earlier, there's some more of it. The strange part is how far I've walked in Europe, and I've never seen anything like that. But it's been the last 2 days, they've been everywhere. First couple times I was like, first time you see it, you're like, oh, it's weird. Second time you're like, man, that's a coincidence. And then the 7th or 8th, 9th time, you're like, what's the theme? 12.39 miles, 3:14 p.m. We have made it to Vries. Vries was small, but very charming. On to the next town. We'll take a little bit of a breather. It's 5:09, 15.37 miles. We're on the edges of Verlt, as you can see written on that bus stop sign. And I think I've got a new fence alert for you. They fill these cages with rocks, and that's what makes up the post, and then you got the regular fence part. Here's a species of evergreen tree that I don't know if I've ever seen before. I do not know what that is. Shot A. That's unfortunate. It says no card payment possible. That's what I use to pay for stuff. I understand that credit cards are pretty annoying, actually. They charge a bunch of fees, and they don't really need to exist, at least not for as much as they cost. I wonder how many customers you lose when you don't accept credit cards, as unfortunate as that reality is. This Chinese restaurant looked really good, especially since I'm really hungry. Found a place to grab some dinner. Tonight's another night of no one-night tent nor warm showers host. I'm gonna stop even checking warm showers, because even if you do find someone, the chances that they respond are literally so astronomically low, it's not worth the effort. So that's my endorsement of warm showers. Don't get it, it's useless. So that means we're either stealth camping or finding someone nice who will let us camp on their yard. So I'll ask everybody I run across. I'll knock on some doors while I work my way out of town. And then if I get out of town, I'll start looking for likely spots that are stealthy, like last night. Probably won't spend as much effort as I did last night in making sure that it is stealthy, because that just was a lot of unnecessary work for a road that saw so little traffic. Silly me. Silly, silly me. The good news is it won't be as wet tonight, because it hasn't been raining today. It's not frozen, I just froze. I'm pretty much out of food. I think I should grab me a few calories that I can take with me in my cart for tomorrow. The bread won't be as good by tomorrow, but it will be edible, I imagine. Whee! M&M, baby, and bread, and Snickers. The holy trinity of food items. Surprised there's even other food in the stores. Apples. I still have some apples, but I think I have 2 left, so should be good for tomorrow. Right there, you'll see 2 people wearing black shirts walking away. Their names are Matthias and Anna. I was at Aldi picking up my essentials. You know how I be. And they were in line. Oh, we got outlets, baby. They were in line ahead of me, and Matthias looked down at my sign, and every time people do that and then glance up at me, I always go, I know, just as like a joke. But usually they go, and then they look away. But he was like, oh, wow. And so I was like, I know, loco, crazy. Anyway, and then Anna came over in the parking lot, introduced herself, asked me why, and more questions, and then they're like, and where do you sleep? And I was like, in the woods, or sometimes one-night tent works. And this is a long explanation. Basically, they're like, well, we know the owners of the campground. It's only like a mile away. We'll call them. They'll let you stay there. And then they walked with me here. It was 1.7 miles, so it was kind of a long walk to and now they have to go back to their car. So that's an easy hour and a half. Nice people. Pretty nice campground. I think that's like mini golf, but extra mini, if I'm not mistaken. And they're on tables for some reason. Maybe you hit them with like a little thing with your hand. Got a playground over there, including a zip line. I saw a ping pong table. Apparently there's a room with bathrooms and showers, so I'll try to take advantage of that. All in all, it was just a serendipitous way to greatly improve the quality of my evening. So I'm gonna set up my tent and get ready to go to bed. Morning. You know the routine. This boy needs some food and probably to pee. And we gotta pack up. It's already 10, so I'm gonna try to go a little fast because I just woke up. Must have needed the extra sleep. You hungry? Wait. Every night, for some reason, water comes up from the ground and gets the bottom of my tent really wet, especially where there's weight pressed on the bottom of the tent. So like you can see this wet patch right here. That's where my backpack rests. And then it happens too on the under covering for the bottom of the tent. This is something that lines the bottom of the tent from below to prevent punctures and things like that. Anyway, so this morning I got really creative about how I dried out my tent. This is normally connected, but I wanted maximum sunlight and maximum airflow. So I strung up the pole underneath the bench so the tent wouldn't move in the wind. And I think this will get it dried out nice and quick. The inside of the rain fly also tends to get a lot of condensation on it. I remember the same problem last year, but that was really only when it was cold. So it's been surprising how bad it's been the last couple nights. So I've got it draped over this fire pit thing. Now to pack up everything else, even the dog. Ran into Matthias again this morning. That's him right there driving that car. He's the guy who paid for my campsite last night. Bye, Matthias. He works on the electrical components of a manufacturing facility that constructs garbage trucks. And he said their facility is going to be sponsoring a BMX track right there. And that's what he was inspecting. See where they were going to put it, or I don't know. Hashing out the details. We need to go back into Verta and then out towards Meppen, which is about 22 miles from where I am right now. As you know, we haven't been walking that far lately, so I doubt we'll get there today. But that's the direction we're headed. And then I think that'll put us within about 20 miles of the border with the Netherlands. So our days in Germany are quickly coming to an end. Like the parking spots are delineated by different color paver stones. This is where you walk, and the dark ones are where you park. That is good. This random country lane has a road made of old bricks. If I had to guess, I'd say they're handmade due to the lack of uniformity. And then you can see the road has a central crown to it, humps up in the center. And then there's like kind of depressions where the wheels would go, very subtle. I always wonder if those depressions are natural or if they got formed from years and years and years of trucks and everything riding over it. Made it to the next little village. All I can think of is a wimboet, a wimboet, a wimboet, a wimboet. Ooh. Here's today's shot A. And that old building just make you wonder about the stories behind it. Dogs and sticks. I love a story. These are some gorgeous woods. Tell you one thing for sure, unless they're mining crypto or something, they are producing a lot more electricity than their house and garage needs. That is a massive solar array. Alright, we're leaving another German small village. A lot of these ones out here in the countryside that are real small and just surrounded by farms are obviously very agricultural based. A lot of the homes have big barns next to them that are clearly quite old. And they are some of the most charming little villages you could ever hope to find. I don't know if you've ever studied the geography of Iowa. Because Iowa, the state is almost perfectly flat. They didn't really have to work around that many natural geographic obstacles. So all the counties are pretty much perfect boxes. And then in all the counties, the roads are pretty much perfect squares. And there are small towns pretty much equidistant from each other across the whole state. So the entire state looks almost exactly like a checkerboard. Germany's kind of like that too out in their rural areas. There's a bunch of farms surrounded, and then like periodically there's a very small village where all the people that own the surrounding farms go to get their tools and create a little town. The only difference being is that Germany is not laid out in a perfect grid. So it's very haphazard and random and chaotic in a beautiful way. I really like it. This particular town is called Lahn, L-A-H-N. Like I said, town probably isn't the right word. Village is the most accurate description I can come up with. We are 6.21 miles in today, 1:27 p.m. Next town is called Huven. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce the U with umlauts. I'd say it's probably another 5 or 6 miles away. And then in between now and then, it's just countryside walking for us. Oh, look at this beautiful barn. You can see it's active. You can hear cows in there. That door, the wood, brick, roof. we've made it to Heuven. It is quite small. This is pretty much it. It extends a little bit that way, a few houses that way, a few houses that way. Really, this intersection is the biggest part of town. And by the time we get to the end of where you can see on this frame, we'll be out of town. So it's very small, more like a crossroads, a built-up crossroads. It is, however, quite pretty. Yeah, maybe 1,000 feet later, we're back on the lane leading us out of town. Don't mind me, I was eating Nutella. I think there are 2 more villages like that before we get to Meppen. As I mentioned, Meppen's a little bit larger. The second one coming up is in about 4 miles. I think it's called Kleingrosse. It looks big enough that it has a small grocery store. Whoa, what's different about this? Cinematic mode. That's what that was. There might be somewhere to eat there too. So that's in about 4 miles. It's 4 o'clock and we're 10 miles in. So really not too bad. The weather's perfect. It's just a good day. Here's another example of infrastructure that just makes the world a little friendlier to people that don't travel in a vehicle. Picnic table, trash can, and a little roundabout hut in the middle of the countryside with no parking lots, no nothing. You have to not be traveling in a vehicle to make use of these spaces. And look at that bench. See that bench right there in the middle of the frame? No line to use it because you can't get here in a vehicle, I think. They even have this random boulder set up on top of other boulders for, I suppose, emergency shelters, or just sort of like a nature's playground type of vibe. Good. Oh, that's a good boy. All right, 5:39, 14.02 miles in. See if I can grab a bite to eat. I think there's 1 restaurant listed in town. Actually, there's 2. One of them is a kebab place, and I just don't qualify it anymore. Closed. I'm hungry. Birds. Birds. All right, so there's no food here. Grocery store is closed. Restaurants are closed. It's all pretty sweet. I'm not sure how trustworthy I am when I say there's no food, because I feel like the last 2 times I've said that I then found food. Now I'll admit I haven't looked at the kebab place, but I did sort of pass it already, and I'm not sort of uninterested in going backwards. But Meppen, the next town, is only 7.2 miles away, which is actually technically a lie. It's sort of an outlying neighborhood that has 2 options listed there on One Night Tent. If I can reach out to them. And that's 7.2 miles away. And you know what? I could afford to skip a meal. I've been indulging in too much candy lately. And I just don't like the way it makes me feel, honestly. Kind of sluggish. So, maybe it's all for the best. It is time for Jack to eat though, so let's feed him a meal. Facing a very mild dilemma. Kind of sleepy. Jack's kind of sleepy. So I'm tempted to just find a spot, call it for the night. Really, the only problem with that is that the weather is just so agreeable for walking right now. It's a rare thing. Sometimes the weather is just so that you just feel nothing. Doesn't feel too hot, doesn't feel too cold. It's just perfect, still, calm, beautiful, very nice. I did end up messaging those 2 people in One Night Tent, because I don't know why really, but I did. Yeah, so it would be kind of a long time before we got there, probably around 2 hours. It is only 7:30, so that's not insane. We'll see if they respond. It's about an hour later, and we've reached a little village, not the one we're headed to, in theory. We also haven't heard back from either of them, which for One Night Tent standards is an atrocious response time. So I'm thinking next good little bit of woods we see, we'll take that. Unless I see someone by their house or something and be like, hi, can I sleep here? Thanks. Jack and I were low on water, so we found a dude working on installing some pavers in his house, and he obligingly filled up a few of our water bottles for us, but didn't feel comfortable with us sleeping on his property. Glad I asked though. The hunt continues. It is now 8:30. I'm regretting not stopping in those woods that I saw earlier, like I thought I should. But you never know. Or you know, can't win them all. The house is very well appointed. Very tidy. Nice guy, actually. Pretty friendly, but, you know, it is a lot to ask, so I understand. So in the next good spot we'll be taking. We just got to get out of town, try to find a good field. Don't mind us, just rumbling through the fields, looking for somewhere sneaky. And it didn't quite come out how I wanted it to in terms of voice, tone, inflection. But I'm not too worried about it. Got priorities. Gotta find somewhere to snooze my little head. So we're out in the fields. These are like drainage ditches. So I was gonna just like go far out in the fields and get in between two kind of thing, but not on a road. Drainage ditches kind of mess with that. But here to my left, there's this row of trees separating this little path from the adjacent field of corn. And at times, the row of trees is 15 feet wide or so. And you can see the visibility into it at times can be quite low, especially if you get behind one of these big bushes like here. So my theory for tonight is to get behind one of those big bushes like there. Let's get in the middle. I think I found a okay spot. I'll show you that. So like here, right there, pretty hidden. You can see there's kind of like a manhole type sized entrance, as it were, right around here. If you're just driving your tractor down here, you're really not looking in to peer into there to see if there's something that's almost the same color. So you can come in, and then once you get past that first little layer, there's actually sort of a hollow space in here. So that was this particularly thick spot right there to the left of my little hole that I used to enter. So I'm thinking something like right this. Right there could be a good spot. So I think that's what we're going to go with. If we get caught, we get caught. But I feel like the likelihood is on the slim side, which for me right now is what we call good enough. Good night. I'm going to set up my tent. See you tomorrow.